This is the Total Freedom Podcast, presenting number one best-selling author Christopher Duncan, bringing you proven strategies to free your time, free your mind, and free your income, so that you can do more of what matters most. Learn more at ChristopherMDuncan.com.
Welcome to the Total Freedom Show. My name is Christopher Duncan, your host, and today I'm with a new friend. Her name's Alionka Polanco. She's a life and fulfillment coach, and she's completely dedicated to helping people be happy and feel fulfilled in their life. And the reason why I'm so inspired to have you on here is because I believe this. I believe we need to have more women stepping out into entrepreneurship and more women out in leadership. And I think that the shift is from this very left brain man's world where it's very driven around money to what you're talking about. And I truly think this. I think there is way too many people who have learnt the science of success, but no one knows the art of fulfillment. So I'm super intrigued to learn about the art of fulfillment today from you. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to be here, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think we are so lucky to live in the world that we live in, and that we are moving to this feminine energy paradigm shift. So I'm totally on the same page with you.
Yeah, we definitely need that balance. I feel, that that needs to be evened out. I don't think we need to shift the whole other way, but there needs to be a balance. So we need to do that shift so then we can readjust.
And then we can.
Yeah. Now, I obviously, we're new to each other and we're just getting to know each other. Would you fill the audience in with just a little bit more about who you are and what you've been up to and what you're really excited about?
Absolutely. So, hey everyone, I am Alionka Polanco of AlionkaPolanco.com. And like Chris said, I'm a life and fulfillment coach, and it really is my highest mission to help people be happy in this life. I believe that we were not put here to suffer. And so I really help people figure out what their success actually means. So kind of like what Chris alluded to, success has been very money driven for however long, and the people I work with have usually achieved that level, and they get there and they realize that it is not exactly what they thought it was going to be, and it doesn't feel as full as what they thought it was going to feel like. So I really help people figure out the feeling aspect of what feels good, what feels successful to them, and at the end of the day, what fills them up.
I think it's a really important point. A lot of times I feel that we're just chasing, and we're chasing the next goal and the next goal and the next goal without stopping and celebrating and actually going, you know what, I've done okay, or I've done well. And a lot of times when I talk to people about it, it's as though if they actually celebrate it, they'd feel like they lost their motivation. Yeah. Right? They go, but Chris, if I felt good about me now, how would I actually move? I feel like we're so driven by I'm not good enough and I could be betters. And so, I really appreciate this. And so listeners, obviously we talk about freedom. Today's personal freedom time. And it's about you feeling fulfillment and you shaping and creating a life that's successful to you. So I'd like to know the backstory. I know that not everyone lands on top of the mountain. And I'd love to hear how you ended up where it is that you are now, and some of the distinctions and maybe some of the turning points that have led you to this place.
For sure. So I am from New Jersey originally. Now I'm based in New York City. And I grew up with great parents who were immigrants. So I'm first generation American. And I think any child of an immigrant can agree that your parents care so much about you, and your success is their success. So there's a lot of pressure on being a straight A student, and on going to college, and on getting this job and making six figures and doing this and doing that and doing this. And I know it all comes out of love, but there was a lot of pressure to do that growing up. And I totally fit the bill. I was president of my class, editor-in-chief of my yearbook. I was in the drama department. As a straight A student, I was a Gates Millennium Scholar. I did all of it, right? Check, 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 check. And for whatever reason, I decided to go to school for acting, which was very, I was in the top 2% of my high school class. So everyone was like, what? Why is she going to school for acting? And that may have been the first time in my entire life that I decided that I needed to do something that was going to make me happy. And I remember it was such like a big conversation with my parents. You should be a teacher, or you should do this, or you should do that. And I was like, I think I'll be miserable if I go to school for this. And you guys, my dad specifically, always used to say, the point of life is happiness. So if you're not happy, don't do it. And so they did let me go to school for acting. And so off I went. And at about halfway through my senior year of college, I've realized this doesn't make me happy. So my parents were like, you should become a teacher. Right?
Like we said.
And I was so lost at that point, and I think kind of disappointed in myself that I made a wrong decision, that I was like, all right, I'll go get my master's in education. So I went and got my master's in education. Great program, great school. And at the end of that degree, I was also still not happy. So I had, all of my friends were getting jobs in schools, and I spent the summer being like, if I submit my resume, I'm going to be miserable. Like, I can't actually do this. And so I did a lot of soul searching that summer. I think I went to Colombia that summer, and I thought about just life and like, what am I actually here to do? Right? So I keep trying all these things, nothing's fitting, but I have this like deep belief that everyone was put here for a reason. So what's my reason? Right? And so I came up with that I loved helping people. My whole life, I loved helping people. And so I think I did a Google search for alternative careers for teachers, and life coaching came up. And so I started to read it. I was super excited. I loved everything I read. And so I enrolled at New York University, and I got my coaching certification. And so that was almost 3 years ago now, and I'm still in the same profession. So my parents are happy about that. But it did not come without its twists and turns to get to where I am today.
Amazing. And there was so much there, and thank you so much for sharing. I wrote down a few points that I'd love to expand on and really, really touch on. I think it's important for the audience. And I think the first one was that, you know, it's totally okay to make those mistakes. And it was only by, you know, mistakes in the moment, but it's only by doing that does it unfold. And Steve Jobs said you can't connect the dots looking forward. You know, you can't understand how you'd get to where you're supposed to be right now, which may change, but you can't connect them. So the interesting thing is, and this is the message that I got out of it, was follow what your heart says. Heart says, try acting. Okay, cool. So it's not that. Heart says, I don't know what else to do, so let's listen to the parent. Do that. Now I got there. But there was something really amazing about you, is this level of self-awareness. And I think a lot of people have that self-awareness, but they ignore it. And so you were this 2% high school doing great, but then they had this level of self-awareness from the sound of it that was able to go, however, I don't want that. So I'd love you to expand on self-awareness. And I know that it's not in the script or the questions that I see, but I love it. And I think you're very self-aware. And how important has self-aware been in you, being self-aware of where you're at and what you do? Because it came up a few times in your story. How important has that been?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And I think I would attribute it first and foremost to my acting background. There's so much work in being present in this moment and to feel the feelings that you need to be feeling. So that level of awareness, I think I really can attribute that to my acting training. I think where it has become magnified and why it's so important in what I do is because that's part of what I teach. It's like your desires is like divinity speaking to you. So when you are really honest about what you want, it's kind of like I say this even for not religious people. So God, the universe, Allah, whomever you believe in, your desires is that other being telling you what's right for you and what's next for you. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned, like, I do think most people are self-aware, but the difference maybe is there is a difference between being self-aware and taking action on that awareness. Right. And actually the conflict comes from when you know, right? Like when you're aware and you're not doing it, right, and not following through on what you know to be true.
I think that's the hardest thing, because all of the, everything that's uncomfortable is where your growth is at. Yeah. But it's that uncomfort of going, I want to do this, but I don't know how, but it feels like I should. And then it feels scary. And I literally think that sometimes our body confuses those emotions where it's like, I really want to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. And they don't, because entrepreneur meant that, suddenly it's got to be different. You've got to be in this new place. And so what tips would you give? And so for you, you've taken action multiple times in a place that was uncomfortable, not only to have honest conversations with your parents, but then yourself, and then putting yourself in places. So if you were to be sharing with somebody right now who's got it in their heart and they've got the self-awareness that there's something they need to be doing, they're not doing, what processes do you go through to actually take that action?
2 words come to mind: do it. Do it. We can talk so much about what you want, but we can't actually get anywhere if there's no action being taken.
But what if I fail? I can hear that, but what if it goes wrong?
Totally. You know what? I think this is what I help my clients with for the most part, because everyone has this fear of failing. Everyone has fear, and it doesn't matter what level of success you get to, the fear is always there. It's not going away. Granted, I might be more afraid of something than someone else is, but the feeling of fear doesn't go away. So if we know that fear is going to be a constant in our lives, can we really let it dictate the choices that we make?
Of course.
Yeah. I always, even with myself, I have to remind myself of this. Is the action I'm taking based in hope, or is it based in fear?
Right.
Because they're both things, they're not tangible. I can't touch fear. I can't touch hope. But they weigh the same. They just take me in different routes.
Totally. Write that down, everybody watching and listening. Here's what's interesting is how old are you right now?
26.
So you're 26. Yeah. Now, I think that our generation, I think this is a battle for us. I feel as though it's, between, on the US, I'm from New Zealand. I've lived in Australia. Now over here, I'm in LA and Singapore. We've been there. And Harriet, my fiance, is from London. And I feel that when I do the talks, and I've talked in the last year, we've been in 6 countries doing workshops, and our book's been there. And we hear from these people. We had 27 countries at one point on a webinar. And it feels as though it's the same conversation happening all around, which is all of us that are in this place in our 20s right now going, what is this world? What is this system? And no, I don't want to go do that boring thing over there for the next 40 years. So what advice would you give for other Gen Ys? Because you've obviously followed your heart, and I see a lot of my friends still sitting in those office jobs, which they truly know in their heart isn't their life purpose. Yeah. So how do they find that? And how do they start taking action? Because we all are thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's a blessing that we're all thinking the same thing, because that just rings to the validity of it, right? If our entire generation feels this way, I think we should be paying attention to that,
I think so.
And I keep saying that the reason why maybe more people aren't advancing as fast as they want to is just because they're missing the models. Right. And I work with a lot of trailblazers, and when you look at the word trailblazer, it's someone who's blazing a new path. So that's not easy. Like if you were to go in the woods and you couldn't see the path in front of you, you don't know what's ahead. There could be a bear. There could, like, you don't know, but someone has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I love being a millennial because I think we are the generation that's blazing a new path. And
Absolutely.
So what would I say to someone who's like maybe at the edge of the woods, and right on one side they see a path that's totally clear. They know what it looks like. They know how to get to the end. Everyone in their family has gone down this path, and they don't want to go down this path, but they know. You're going to make a left in 5 minutes, and then you're going to walk this, and this is going to happen. Watch out for this. It's comfortable, so comfortable. But they do sense that there is another path to their left, even though they can't see it. So what would I say to the person like standing at the edge of that wood? I would tell them to pause and take a deep breath and go left. Because it takes as much physical energy to make a step to the right or a step to the left.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all like a mind game. Like I feel like if we could give the entire millennial generation a class on mindset, like I wonder what would be possible for the brilliant people in this generation.
I think we absolutely have to. And I think for those of us who are on this podcast or watching this on YouTube, I think there's a reason why you're watching or listening. And I think there's a reason that you're here. And I don't think that the reason is just to continue a broken system, that no one's feeling fulfilled. And I feel as though the chasing the next without the fulfillment, without the feeling of life and love and joy, I think is in my opinion, and is the wrong way. Is it completely the wrong way. And that's why I talk about freedom so much. I mean, freedom is the opposite of sacrifice. Freedom is doing what matters to you.
I love that.
You know, just it's what matters to you. And that's what we're so passionate about on the show. So it's so good to have you on, really. And so the real big thing that I'm getting here from you is, taking the action, but doing it in a way I believe that is safe for them. Because I think there's a lot of, in my opinion, I would love to hear your thoughts, is you can either jump in with both feet, but sometimes that can be quite painful. Or you can dip your toe in and you get nowhere. There's a third alternative, I think. Now, for me, I did the jumping in thing, and I wouldn't suggest that to anybody. That's freaking scary, jumping in. Oh my gosh, I've got staff and an office and, bills, and oh my God, now I've got all these things. What am I going to do? And now a family to support and a business, and holy crap, and I don't have anyone around to support me. So if you were to give one big tip to somebody that's wanting to take these moves and trying to make sure that, that they are jumping and just doing it, but also that they're not going to, fall over. I know what I would suggest, but what would you suggest?
I love that you bring that up because you have to get help. And I think we come from, I don't even know, multiple generations back that are so used to life is hard, but you gotta do it, and you gotta do it alone, and you can't go to therapy, or you can't get a coach, question mark, what is that? My dad is an entrepreneur. And he manages 10 businesses, very successful business guy. And he did it all by himself. And he still works 7 days a week. He is business all the time. But if we were being real, that's not freedom. No. He paved his own way, and that is awesome. But I can only imagine had he had a business consultant or a mentor or just someone who had done something similar who could have helped him on the journey.
Right.
That's what I would say to anyone watching this, is you have to get help. And help looks so many different ways, but stop thinking that you have to do it alone. Because if I think back to my business success, I was doing it and I was doing stuff. And the moment I hired my mentors, and right now I have 2 of them, it just really took off because I wasn't I was on my new path, but someone else could tell me, oh, look out for this, or
Yeah.
oh, be prepared for this, you know? So I think help is paramount to
Yeah.
success.
And I want to add some weight behind that message because it's so true. I mean, we've spent so much on coaching and consulting and mentoring, and everything's been such a great investment. But
Yes.
here's the thing: is so many people think, oh, if I ask for help, well, then I'm broken, or then I'm not good enough to do it myself. Here's the truth: I want everyone to get it. You'll do it yourself. It'll just take you a lot longer. You have to make the same mistakes. This is what I like to say. I say, look, it's taken me 10 years, a decade in business to build total freedom, 8 companies, make multiple millions, and be able to travel the world and have it run without me. Now, if you're twice as smart as me, it's still going to take you 5 years and nearly $500,000 of investment to be able to get it done if you're twice as smart as me.
Yeah.
Now, or in 2 years, I can just teach you how to do it. I've got it all there ready. And I think the smart decision is getting the help. People always go, oh, Chris, how have you done it? How have you done it so fast? And I think this is the same with you. Is the one thing that allowed me to move fast was removing ego and going, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I don't know the next steps. In fact, I'm driving a car right now in pitch black, and I can only see like inches in front of me. That's as far as the light will go. That's all I can see. But then there's someone else who's just gone this path, driven it 20 times, built, 10 companies, and let's go, don't worry, I could drive this with my eyes closed. We got this. And you give them the keys. And I think that is the most beautiful place that we need to get to.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you 110%. It's not even a real number, but I do. It's not even real. So yeah, get a mentor. But I think
a mentor, yeah.
Like there's so many out there, and how do you find the right one? And so here's a question you posed before, and I want to hear your answer. You said, what is a life coach? Life coach question. So what is a life coach?
So a life coach is someone who is here to help you maximize your greatest tool, which is you. Right? So we help people get out of their own way. The people that I work with and I've worked with like a wide variety. And now I really work with people who have had some success. But even when I used to work with actors too, everyone has greatness within them, but you can't see it all the time. And it's okay that you can't see it. No one has the ability to see the truth about themselves all of the time. No one. There is not a single person in the world who knows everything about themselves and can use it to their best potential. And that's where a life coach comes in, or mentor. And it's really helping you. It's like holding up a mirror so that you can see that, and having someone hold the space to have that discovery and to have those conversations that when you start to get a clue of how freaking brilliant you are, the things that you can do are, I'm like making a very big hand gesture, but it's a lot. You are capable of so much, but you're not meant to do that by yourself. None of us are. I
want to add a distinction here, and it's a really important one. I think people get confused between a coach, a mentor, and a teacher. I don't think they show up in the same body a lot of times.
Like in the same physical body?
That's right. I think that if you want to get success, you need to have a mentor who's already been there.
Yeah.
If you want to get success, sometimes a mentor, let's say we want to be good at golf, right? A mentor could be Tiger Woods. He's good at golf. Rest of his life, I wouldn't go there at all. But golf, right? He's good at that. He's still in the top 100 or whatever, and he has been a champion. So he could be a mentor. But I don't know if that's all I would need. I think I also need a teacher. So someone to teach me how to do it. Because sometimes the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods in this world, Steve Jobs, they're not the best teachers. So you also need a teacher. But see, sometimes the best teachers, the best at articulate and teaching to others, haven't actually been able to produce it themselves, because they can teach. And I want everyone to get this, and I think it's important, is they teach small pieces of the overall whole. So you kind of need the mentor that says, oh, well, this is the stuff that I do. And then you need a teacher that will teach you little distinctions. But then you need the third piece. And I think the third piece is the coach. And here's what everyone's got to get, is when I was coaching and doing a lot of it, and I don't do that much anymore. I do a lot of coaching for entrepreneurs specifically. But when I was coaching, I was coaching multiple millionaires at times, but I hadn't even got there myself.
Yeah.
And the thing to understand is that it's the same. Is being a good coach doesn't mean you need to have the result in your life, because a good coach is getting you out of your own way, right?
Yeah.
A good coach is being good at working through mindset and motivation. And I think a lot of people get caught at looking at mentors and going, they can save me. Truth is, they can't coach you because you need to have the mindset, or they can't teach you. And so in my opinion, only mine, is if you're out there and you want to go big, you need to have the person that can teach you what it is that you want to do, the person that can mentor you, show you the whole picture, and the person that gets you out of your own way. And that is your personal team. That is your personal team. And I just wanted to add those distinctions in there because I think it's an important conversation, and it's what came out of me.
I actually very much appreciate that, because I think you're absolutely right. I think in our industry, it has become really easy to interchange the words coach, mentor, teacher, kick-ass strategist, yada, 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 whatever the case may be, but they are very different jobs and very different responsibilities and different, they're just different jobs. You're totally right. I really agree with that.
Yeah, and I also think that a lot of times we get the wrong person doing the wrong thing. And, and so sometimes we look at someone as a great mentor and they could be a good coach. We get a coach trying to give us strategy, and a coach doesn't give strategy.
Yeah. I know, I tried. I'm not a strategist, Yeah.
And that's what's great. So I wanted to just share that out there with everyone and just, really put some weight behind. For me, I have mentors in my life, and they are there to show, but they don't teach me anything. I just get to hang out with them and I get to see what they're doing. Then I have the teachers who are teaching me things that I need to learn and do to be more. And then I just have a solid coach that I've had for so long who pulls me out of myself, gets me out of my own way. And I truly believe the only way that you can sustainably keep on moving and growing is to have those three of where you're going to. So this is a good conversation, and it's getting some good things out. I love the word trailblazer. I wrote that down. I really like it. I think Gen Y and millennials, as you call them, are trailblazers, and so it's good to have you here.
Yeah, I love that too, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. Not to switch the around, but what your thoughts are on the millennial generation or Gen Y, and what our responsibility is. Yeah,
it's a great question. I get asked it all the time, and I truly think we're the generation to follow our hearts. However, I feel as though we're the generation that needs to follow our hearts and pave the way for the change. We're the link. We're the link between what is leaving and what they're holding on to so tightly to try to keep it here. We're the link. We're going to be the ones that have to push through. And we're lucky enough to have grown up mostly with the internet. And so we understand this conversation. We know that they can't keep truths hidden. We know that you can build a business online using your smartphone. We get that. And I feel that we have a big responsibility, and we all know that. And that's why I think we're called Gen Y, because we just ask ourselves, why?
Well, I love that.
Why are we doing things? Look, I've so appreciate having you here. And I know that your time is valuable. In fact, everyone listening knows that I believe time is the most valuable asset resource. So we are going to have to say goodbye in a second. I know we were completely off script, and I'm not going to apologize because it's been so much fun.
Me either. This is great.
But before we do say goodbye, is there any lasting thoughts or advice or impression you'd like to leave with our beautiful listeners?
Yeah, the message of follow your heart that you just brought up is so important. And I think what I want to add to that is that you are not wrong for following your heart. Because so many people in our generation feel like there's something wrong with them for wanting to be different. And if they could see the greater scheme of planet Earth, they would know that they are so on track.
I love it. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the people out there listening to this going, you know what? I love her. I love her energy. I need a coach just like her. I need fulfillment. Where do they go to get more information from you?
Yeah, visit me at www.alionkapolanco.com.
Awesome. And they'll be in the show notes. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you download it on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening or watching this, go to christophermduncan.com/podcast and you'll see it there. And you'll be able to just click straight on the link if you missed that. Awesome. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the show. And everyone out there listening, thanks for stopping in, and live with total freedom. Free your mind, free your time, free your life, so you can do more of what matters most to you. Smash it.
This has been the Total Freedom Podcast. Learn more at ChristopherMDuncan.com. Use the hashtag #TotalFreedomTV, and Chris will answer your questions. What are you doing to create freedom today?